Taste of entitlement, greed, avarice and deception.
Something disturbing is happening in Montecito, and it involves one of Hollywood's biggest power players completely vanishing.
I nearly entered rehab yesterday. That is the biggest pile of crap I've ever seen on television in my life.
I want to
Meghan
play
Markle's
you
world.
the first of these South Park clips and get you to react.
Tyler Perry, the man who once saved her from royal exile, who became godfather to her daughter, who opened his mansion.
What mother or father in the name of sweet Jesus has enough time to create a fruit plate at 6 o'clock on a Monday morning when there's toast throwing around the room?
When the entire world turned against her, has been systematically erased from her narrative.
The couple have been begging for privacy, and South Park has done a parody of
Not gradually, not naturally, but with surgical precision that suggests Meghan
this, and apparently it has really upset Meghan Markle.
Who just went off on these, what did she call them? Queen's husband was dying, and she went on Oprah and suggested one or both of them are raging racists. She couldn't have cared less. She doesn't care about anyone other than herself.
I'm opening this cylinder now. If you're watching, what a ta-da!
knew something was coming before anyone else did. The shift started months ago, subtle at first, but impossible to ignore once you notice the pattern. Perry's name, once dropped.
If you think about it, Meghan got everything she wanted. She got the husband, she got the children, she got the HRA, she got everything that allowed her to rise up and to have that global recognition that we know how badly she wanted that.
Constantly in interviews and podcasts, simply stopped appearing. The man she used to call family became just a friend in casual conversation.
Meghan ruined Harry. Now that the once carefree, fun-loving prince has turned into a miserable moaner, lashing out from the depths of his paranoia at a world he thinks is conspiring against him.
When she attended his tribute at the Paley Center for Media, she sat in the crowd like a stranger, refusing to share the stage during his moment of recognition. This wasn't an accident or scheduling conflict. This was strategic distancing from someone who knows too many secrets.
We want our privacy and safety, but we'll go be at Beyonce concerts and do whatever we want. Oh, look at him. It's my fox. Oh, yuck. Yuck, yuck.
But the timing of this erasure campaign reveals something far more sinister than a simple friendship fade. Because just as Meghan began scrubbing Tyler Perry from her public story,
Like, guys, you don't gotta do this. Please, I'm begging you to stop.
allegations were quietly building that would soon explode into a $250 million lawsuit that threatens to destroy his reputation forever. Back when Meghan's world was crumbling after Megxit, Tyler Perry wasn't just a friend, he was her lifeline. While the British press tore her apart and palace doors slammed shut,
Want respect? Try shutting up.
Perry flew her family across the country on his private jet and opened the gates.
I might watch it in the same way that I turn my head to see a car accident.
It is the cringiest, most uncomfortable piece of tape I've seen in a long time.
These two are now an international embarrassment.
Here's the problem. We don't like you, Meghan Markle.
To his Beverly Hills fortress. He didn't just offer shelter, he provided armed security, emotional support, and something Meghan desperately needed: validation from someone with real Hollywood power. The relationship seemed genuine.
Hold on a second, you duplicitous woman. How does that make any sense?
So no amount of humanizing videos, even if she managed to find one, are going to work.
Is she ever going to get to the point where she literally looks in the mirror and goes, nobody's interested in my jam or my life, nobody likes me, shut the hell up?
Meghan Markle is trying to kid the world that all is fine.
I think there is now sick, essentially in my mouth. Oh my God, this is horrific.
Almost sacred in how Meghan described it. Perry wasn't just housing them temporarily, he was chosen as godfather to Lilibet, a role Meghan publicly celebrated as proof of their unbreakable bond. In their Netflix documentary, his voice carried weight as he described protecting her during her darkest hour.
One of the executives came out and said they quite literally have no talent, but worse than that, they don't want to work. Never, ever.
every interview featured glowing mentions of his kindness, his wisdom, his unwavering loyalty when everyone else abandoned her. This wasn't just gratitude, it was strategic positioning. Being connected to Tyler Perry meant something in Hollywood circles.
This one brilliantly exposes some of the Sussexes' laughable hypocrisy. What?
His endorsement carried credibility, his friendship suggested depth, and his protection implied she was worth defending. For Meghan, who had burned bridges from Toronto to London, having someone of Perry's stature publicly supporting her was invaluable social currency. But somewhere between those tearful Netflix testimonials and her recent podcast appearances, something shifted dramatically. Perry's name began disappearing from her vocabulary with eerie consistency. When recounting how she met media mogul Katie Lee, Meghan awkwardly referred to Perry's mansion as simply a friend's house, as if she'd trained herself to avoid saying his name entirely. The pattern became impossible to ignore. Interviews where Perry would have been natural to mention suddenly sidestepped his involvement completely. Podcast episodes discussing her Hollywood transition somehow managed to skip over the man who literally housed her during that exact period. Even casual social media posts that once featured their connection went mysteriously quiet about their relationship. Royal watchers and Hollywood insiders started comparing notes, and what they found was chilling in its precision. This wasn't organic distance growing between friends. This was calculated erasure. Meghan was systematically removing Tyler Perry from her narrative, while he was still actively supporting her publicly. The man who had described protecting her like family was being quietly ghosted by the woman he'd saved. The most telling moment came at the Paley Center tribute,
No, I don't want to cook again, Meghan. My God, take a break.
where Perry was being honored for his career achievements. Meghan showed up, photographed in attendance, but her behavior spoke volumes about their changed dynamic. She didn't walk the red carpet with him, wasn't seated at his table, and notably absent from the stage when he received recognition. For someone who once called him godfather to her child, the distance was deliberate and devastating. Then the bombshell dropped that explained everything. Derek Dixon, a man who had stayed in Perry's Atlanta guest house, filed a shocking $260 million lawsuit alleging sexual harassment and assault. The allegations described disturbing late-night encounters, inappropriate touching, and behavior that left the accuser traumatized and seeking legal justice. The timing of these revelations against Perry's public image was catastrophic. But here's what makes Meghan's behavior so calculated and disturbing. Multiple sources now claim she began distancing herself from Perry months before these allegations became public.
No, I refuse. I'm sick of it.